Director laughed at the mechanic's daughter. Until she started the engine no one could fix. Harrison Reed was at the end of his patience when he saw the curly-haired teenager approach the prototype that had become his nightmare. 3 months without being able to get that engine to work, thousands of dollars lost every day, and now the daughter of the company's humblest mechanic thought she could solve the problem. The 15-year-old girl stopped in front of the luxury car with her arms crossed, watching Harrison laugh mockingly at her. "You? A little girl? You're going to fix the engine that even the best technicians in the region couldn't?" He pointed to the experimental vehicle that had been sitting for 3 months in the main workshop of Elite Motors, the largest luxury car dealership in Detroit. Maya Miller just smiled. Her eyes shone with the same determination her father, David Miller, had carried for 20 years working at that company. She had grown up among wrenches and engines, absorbing every technical conversation, every explanation her father gave about how cars worked. "Can I take a look?" she asked simply, ignoring the laughter of the other employees who had gathered to watch the spectacle. Harrison gestured ironically, as if doing a great favor. "Of course, little lady. Show us how it's done. But when you fail, I want your father to understand that a child's place is in school, not in my workshop." Maya approached the vehicle with calculated movements. She had watched the technicians work on that engine for weeks whenever she went to pick up her father at the end of the shift. While they focused on complex components, she had noticed something no one else had. With surgical precision, she connected 2 wires that had been reversed from the start. The engine roared perfectly, filling the tense silence of the workshop with a sound no one had been able to produce in months. Harrison's mocking smile vanished instantly. His face paled when he realized he had publicly humiliated the person who solved in minutes the problem that was costing the company a fortune each day. The other employees fell into absolute silence, some whispering among themselves about what they had just witnessed. How is this possible?" Harrison stammered, his voice losing all its former authority. "The wires were swapped from the beginning," Maya explained calmly. "I noticed it weeks ago, but no one asked me." The news of the teenager's extraordinary feat began to spread quickly among the employees, but Harrison immediately ordered that no one disclose the event. He feared losing all the credibility he had built over years as director. "No one here will speak about this," he said with forced authority. It was beginner's luck, nothing more. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, please take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps us who are just starting out. Now, continuing. Maya went home in silence that afternoon, accompanying her father on the bus that took them to the Dearborn Heights neighborhood, where they lived in a simple but well-kept house. David noticed something different in his daughter's gaze, a mix of satisfaction and worry he couldn't decipher. "What happened at the workshop today, May?" he asked as they walked down the cobblestone street. "Nothing much, Dad. I just helped with that car that was having problems." David stopped walking and looked at his daughter carefully. He had known Maya since she was little and knew when something important had happened. "What kind of help?" "I got the engine to work." Maya's words echoed in David's mind like thunder. He knew how much that prototype was causing problems at the company, had heard the technicians' desperate conversations, seen Harrison's growing stress over the last few months. "What do you mean, honey?" Maya detailed what had happened, including Harrison's humiliating reaction and the gag order he'd given everyone. David felt a mix of immense pride and deep concern. He had known Harrison for years and knew the man wouldn't handle being bested by a teenager, well, especially in front of other employees. That night, Susan Miller, David's wife and Maya's mother, sensed the tension in the air when she arrived from her cleaning shift at the same dealership. She had worked there for 20 years, knew every corner of that place, every secret the walls held. "What's going on with you two?" she asked, taking off the blue uniform she wore daily. David told her about their daughter's feat, and Susan was torn between maternal pride and practical worry. She knew Harrison better than anyone, had cleaned his office for years, overheard his phone calls, seen how he treated people he considered inferior. "This could bring trouble for us," she said quietly, so Maya wouldn't hear from the living room. "I know, honey." But she was just helping. She didn't do anything wrong. Harrison won't see it that way. 3 days later, when everyone thought the problem was finally solved, the engine mysteriously failed again. Harrison called an emergency meeting with all the technicians, his voice echoing through the workshop with poorly disguised desperation. "I want you to find out what happened. This engine worked perfectly for 2 days and now it's dead again." The technicians looked at each other, confused. No one understood how a seemingly solved problem had returned. Harrison paced back and forth, his hands trembling slightly as he thought of the important client who would come to inspect the vehicle the following week. David watched everything from a distance, organizing his tools with his usual precision. He had noticed something strange in recent days, small signs that someone had tampered with the engine overnight, almost imperceptible marks, slightly misaligned bolts. "Dad," Maya whispered as she passed him on her way to school, "someone messed with the car on purpose." "How do you know?" "I came back last night to get the notebook I forgot in your locker. I saw someone leaving the workshop, but I couldn't see who it was." Maya's revelation confirmed David's suspicions. Someone was intentionally sabotaging the engine, but why? And who would have access to the workshop at night? Harrison, growing increasingly desperate, was forced to seek out Maya in secret the next morning. He found her at the school entrance, his eyes betraying the panic he was trying to hide. "I need to talk to you," he said, trying to sound authoritative but failing miserably. "About what, Mr. Harrison?" You got that engine running once. Can you do it again?" Maya studied the face of the man who had mocked her publicly. She saw desperation, wounded pride, and something more: fear. Harrison was afraid of losing his job, his reputation, maybe even the company. "I can try," she replied, "but first I need to understand why it stopped working again." Harrison took Maya to the workshop on a Saturday morning, when only a few essential employees were working. She examined the engine carefully, her small hands able to reach places the technicians' larger hands could not. After an hour of meticulous inspection, Maya made a discovery that would change everything. "Mr. Harrison," she said, her voice too serious for a teenager, "there's a much bigger problem here than just crossed wires." "What do you mean?" "This engine has a serious manufacturing defect. It's not just a repair issue, it's a safety issue. If someone drives this car, they could be seriously hurt." Harrison felt the blood run cold in his veins. A safety defect meant a recall, investigations, possibly the end of his career. "You're making this up," he exploded. "You're trying to hurt me because I didn't believe you." "I have nothing to gain by lying about this," Maya replied calmly. "I'm trying to prevent someone from getting hurt." The argument was overheard by Susan, who had come to work even though it was Saturday to get a head start on the week's cleaning. She was organizing the papers in Harrison's office when she heard the raised voices coming from the workshop. Susan knew about documents that Harrison thought no one else knew existed. Over years of cleaning, she had seen papers left on the desk, phone conversations she shouldn't have heard, drawers left carelessly open. She stored in her memory information about questionable business deals, second-rate parts sold as original, altered safety reports. She had always kept silent because she needed the job, but now her daughter was being threatened. "Harrison," Susan entered the workshop with an authority that surprised everyone, "you will not threaten my daughter." "Susan, this is none of your business." "Yes, it is, and maybe it's time some people learned about those documents you keep in the locked drawer of your office." Harrison's face turned red. He knew exactly which documents Susan was talking about. Papers that could destroy not only his career, but land him in serious legal trouble. "Are you threatening me?" "I'm protecting my family, just like you've always protected yours." The tension in the workshop was palpable. Maya looked between her mother and Harrison, realizing there was much more at stake than she had imagined. Her father arrived at that moment, coming into work a few extra hours, and immediately sensed something serious was happening. "What's going on here?" David asked. Harrison looked at the Miller family gathered before him and realized he had seriously underestimated these people. For years, he had treated David as just another employee, Susan as part of the furniture, and Maya as an irrelevant kid. Now he understood that David was a highly talented mechanic who could work anywhere. Susan knew secrets that could destroy him, and Maya had a natural gift that surpassed technicians with decades of experience. "Let's talk in my office," Harrison said, trying to regain some control of the situation. In the office, with the doors closed, the truth began to slowly emerge. Harrison admitted that the client coming to inspect the car next week wasn't just any client. He was an investor who could either buy the entire dealership or withdraw all financial support. "If this engine doesn't work perfectly during the presentation, I lose everything," Harrison confessed. "The company, my house, my children's future." Maya felt a pang of compassion for the man who had mocked her. She saw that beneath the arrogance, Harrison was just someone desperate trying to save what he had built over a lifetime. "I can help," she said, "but on one condition." "What?" "You need to let me explain exactly what the safety problem is and how to fix it permanently. And you can't fire my father over this." Harrison nodded reluctantly. He had no choice. During the following week, Maya worked on the engine after her classes, always under her father's supervision. She discovered the problem wasn't just in the wires, but in a faulty cooling system that caused overheating in specific situations. "That's why the engine would work for a few days and then stop," she explained to David. "It overheats and the components expand, causing failures." "And how do we fix it?" "We need to replace the entire cooling system. It's not a simple repair, it's a complete redesign." David realized the magnitude of the problem. It wasn't just about getting the engine to run for the presentation. It was a matter of rethinking the entire project. "Harrison won't want to spend money on this," he said. "Then we'll have to convince him." Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, please take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps us who are just starting out. Now, continuing. On the morning of the presentation, Harrison was visibly nervous. The investor, Sterling Crawford, a respected businessman from New York City, had arrived with a team of specialized technicians to evaluate the prototype. "Mr. Crawford," Harrison greeted with a forced smile, "it's a pleasure to have you here. I'm sure you'll be impressed with our work." Sterling was a man of few smiles, known for his attention to detail and demand for excellence. He had built an empire in the automotive sector precisely by never accepting anything less than perfection. "Let's get straight to the point, Harrison. I want to see this engine running under real-world conditions." The demonstration started well. The engine started perfectly, purring smoothly as Sterling's technicians conducted their evaluations. Harrison began to relax, thinking he might get through the presentation without a hitch. That's when Maya approached the group. "Excuse me," she said, her voice firm despite her age. "I need to speak about a safety issue with this engine." Harrison felt the blood drain from his face. This was exactly what he had tried to avoid. "Maya, now is not the time," he whispered urgently. "Actually," Sterling interjected, "I want to hear what she has to say. Who are you, young lady?" "I'm Maya Miller, daughter of the mechanic responsible for maintaining this prototype, and I've discovered a serious defect that could put lives at risk." The silence that followed was deafening. Sterling looked from Maya to Harrison, his expression growing progressively more serious. "Go on," he said to Maya. With surprising clarity for her age, Maya technically explained every flaw she had discovered in the system. She detailed how overheating caused component expansion, leading to intermittent failures that could result in serious accidents. Sterling asked complex technical questions, all answered precisely by Maya. Harrison watched everything in horror, seeing his plans crumble before his eyes. "Where did you learn about engines?" Sterling asked, genuinely impressed. "From my father. He's been working with cars for over 20 years, and I've always paid attention." "And what would your solution to this problem be?" "A complete redesign of the cooling system, replacement of specific components with more heat-resistant materials, and implementation of additional temperature sensors." Sterling turned to Harrison with an expression that left no doubt about what he was thinking. "Harrison, were you aware of these safety issues?" We were investigating some minor technical issues." "Minor technical issues?" Sterling raised his voice. "This young lady just explained to me flaws that could cause fatal accidents, and you call that minor issues?" The tension in the workshop was palpable. The employees stopped working to watch the discussion, everyone realizing something very serious was happening. "Mr. Crawford," Harrison tried to recover the situation, "I can explain." "You don't need to explain anything else. It's clear there has been serious negligence here." Sterling turned to Maya. "Would you be able to implement the solutions you mentioned?" "With the proper technical support and the right materials, yes." "So that's what we're going to do. I want you to lead the redesign of this project." Harrison felt the ground open up beneath his feet. Not only had he lost Sterling's confidence, but now a 15-year-old teenager was being put in charge of the project that was supposed to save him. "But Mr. Crawford," he protested, "she's just a child. A child who understands more about this engine than all your technicians put together, apparently." In the days that followed, the news of what had happened spread quickly through the dealership. Employees whispered about how the mechanic's daughter had impressed the big investor from New York City, while Harrison desperately tried to salvage his position. Maya, for her part, felt the weight of responsibility on her shoulders. She had always enjoyed tinkering with engines as a hobby, never imagining it would become something so serious. "Dad," she said to David one night, "I'm afraid I won't be able to do what I promised." "Honey, you've already done the hardest part, which was identifying the problem. Now it's just a matter of applying the knowledge you have, and I'll be here to help with everything." Susan, watching her daughter grow up before her eyes, felt a mix of pride and worry. She knew the inner workings of the dealership better than anyone, and knew that Harrison wouldn't easily accept being diminished by a teenager. "David," she said to her husband, "we need to stay alert. Harrison won't let this go." She was right. Harrison began spreading rumors that Maya had sabotaged the engine on purpose, only to later play the hero by fixing it. He suggested the Miller family was plotting something to harm him. "It's impossible for a 15-year-old girl to know more than trained technicians," he said to anyone who would listen. "There's something wrong with this story." The rumors reached Sterling's ears, and he decided to investigate personally. He returned to the dealership on a Thursday morning, without prior notice, and asked to speak privately with some employees. Brenda Collins, a secretary who had worked there for 15 years, was one of the people Sterling sought out. "Tell me the truth," he asked. "What do you know about this Miller family?" "They're honest people, Mr. Crawford. David is the best mechanic who's ever worked here, always dedicated, never missed a day. Susan is one of the most reliable cleaning staff. And Maya, that girl has always been special." "Special how?" "Since she was little, she came here with her father. She would watch him work, asking questions, learning. I've seen her help with problems others couldn't solve, but always quietly, without fanfare." "And Harrison? How does he treat this family?" Brenda hesitated before answering. "Harrison has always treated them like they were less important. David could be working at any luxury shop in the city, but he stays here because he needs the job. Harrison knows this and sometimes takes advantage." Sterling began to form a clearer picture of the situation. He asked to see David's work records and was impressed by the consistency and quality of his performance over the years. "Why does such a qualified mechanic receive such a low salary?" he asked Harrison when they met in the office. "David, he does good work, but within the company's standards." Harrison, "I've consulted the market salary standards. You're paying at least 40% below what he should be earning." Harrison squirmed uncomfortably in his chair. It was true that he had always kept the salaries of the more humble employees artificially low to increase the company's profit margin. "That's going to change," Sterling declared. "And I want a detailed explanation of how you handle safety issues in the projects." That's when the situation became even more complicated for Harrison. A deeper investigation revealed it wasn't the first time safety issues had been ignored or downplayed at the company. Sarah Jenkins, a technician who had been fired 6 months earlier, sought out Sterling after learning about the ongoing investigation. "Mr. Crawford," she said, "I need to tell you something important about how things work at that company." Sarah revealed she had been fired precisely for insisting on safety matters that Harrison considered excessively rigorous. She had documentation of at least 3 previous instances where similar problems had been swept under the rug. Harrison always said safety issues were luxuries we couldn't afford, Sarah explained. He prioritized profit above all else. Sterling was furious to learn this. He had built his reputation precisely on the reliability and safety of his products, and discovering that Harrison had been compromising those values was unacceptable. The following week, Sterling made a drastic decision. He removed Harrison from the director position and personally took over supervision of the dealership. The first thing he did was call Maya, David, and Susan to a meeting. "I want you to know that your safety concerns are exactly the kind of attitude I value in a company," he said. "Maya, are you prepared to work on the engine redesign project?" "Yes, sir, but I'll need help with some of the more complex parts." "You'll have all the support you need." "And David, I'd like to offer you a position as technical supervisor with a salary appropriate for your qualifications." David could hardly believe what he was hearing. After 20 years of being underestimated, someone was finally recognizing his professional worth. "And Susan," Sterling continued, "I know you know this company better than anyone. I'd like to propose a position as an administrative assistant, where your knowledge of the inner workings will be valued." Susan felt tears welling up in her eyes. For 2 decades she had been invisible, just another person on the cleaning crew. Now she was being offered a real opportunity for growth. Harrison, meanwhile, struggled to understand how he had lost everything so quickly. He tried to appeal to Sterling, promising changes, admitting mistakes, but it was too late. "Harrison," Sterling was direct, "you compromised safety, exploited qualified employees, and wasted exceptional talent for years. There's no way to continue working with me." The transformation at the dealership was radical. Sterling implemented new safety protocols, raised the salaries of underestimated employees, and created an environment where talents like Maya's could flourish. The engine redesign project became a success story. Maya, working side by side with experienced technicians and with her father as her main mentor, developed innovative solutions that exceeded all expectations. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, please take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps us who are just starting out, now continuing. 3 months later, when the redesigned engine was officially tested, the results were extraordinary. Not only had all the safety problems been solved, but the performance had improved significantly compared to the original design. Sterling was so impressed that he decided to offer Maya scholarships to some of the best engineering universities in the country. "Your daughter has a rare gift," he said to David and Susan. "With the proper education, she could become one of the best automotive engineers in the United States." Maya, however, was torn between the opportunities opening up before her and the desire to continue learning from her father. "I want to study engineering," she said, "but I also want to keep working with you, Dad. You taught me more about engines than any book ever could." David smiled, realizing how much his daughter had grown through this whole experience. "Honey, you can do both. Studying will give you theoretical knowledge I could never teach you, and you can always apply that knowledge here with me." Maya's decision to accept the scholarship brought changes for the whole family. Sterling offered flexibility so she could continue working at the dealership on weekends and during vacations. "I want her to keep her hands-on connection with engines," he explained. "The combination of academic theory and practical experience is what creates the best professionals." In the months that followed, Maya's story spread through the automotive community of Detroit and the region. Local newspapers wrote about the teenager who had revolutionized a luxury car dealership. The case caught the attention of other companies in the sector, which began to rethink how they identified and developed talent. Maya's example showed that exceptional skills could emerge from the most unexpected places. Harrison, after losing his position at the dealership, struggled to find another job in the industry. His reputation had been tarnished by the safety issues that came to light during Sterling's investigation. He ended up accepting a job at a small repair shop, earning a fraction of what he made before. The experience taught him humility and the value of treating all employees with respect, regardless of their position. 6 months after the engine redesign, Sterling organized a ceremony to celebrate the project's success. Employees, suppliers, and important clients were invited to learn the story behind the company's transformation. "This project," Sterling said during his speech, taught us that innovation and excellence can come from anywhere. When we respect and value all talents, regardless of age or position, we create extraordinary results. Maya was invited to speak to the audience. Nervous at first, she found courage seeing her father and mother smiling proudly in the front row. "I learned that technical knowledge is important," she said, "but what really makes a difference is the courage to speak up about safety problems, even when it's difficult. And I learned that family and teamwork are the foundation of any success." The audience gave a standing ovation, recognizing not just the young woman's technical competence, but the maturity she had shown throughout the entire process. The following year, Maya began her automotive engineering studies at the University of Michigan, one of the most respected in the country in the field. She kept her weekend job at the dealership, now as an official intern. David, in his new position as technical supervisor, implemented training programs that identified and developed talent among junior employees. His experience as Maya's father taught him the importance of spotting potential that others might overlook. Susan, in her new administrative role, became an important bridge between management and operational staff. Her 2 decades of experience at the company gave her a unique perspective on how to improve working conditions. The dealership, under Sterling's management, became a model company in the automotive sector. Other business owners came to visit to understand how they had managed to transform a corporate culture so quickly. "The secret," Sterling always explained, "is to recognize that talent has no age, gender, or social position. Our job as leaders is to create the conditions for that talent to flourish." During her second year of college, Maya developed an academic project based on her experience with the dealership's engine. The work caught the attention of professors and was presented at a national automotive engineering conference. "Your practical approach to solving complex problems is distinctive," commented a renowned professor. "You combine technical intuition with scientific rigor in a very mature way." Maya's academic success brought internship opportunities at major automakers, but she chose to keep her job at Sterling's dealership. The decision surprised many college classmates. "Why stay at a small dealership when you could work for the big companies?" they asked. "Because here I learn not just about engines," Maya replied, "but about how to treat people, how to build relationships, and how to use technical knowledge to make a real difference in people's lives." Maya's philosophy reflected the values she had learned from her parents and from Sterling. To her, professional success meant more than a high salary or prestige. It meant using her skills to create genuine value. In her third year of college, Maya was invited to participate in a research project on hybrid engines. Her practical experience with cooling problems proved relevant to the technological challenges of the new systems. "Professor," she said during a research meeting, "based on what I've seen in practice, I believe the main problem with hybrid engines isn't technological, but the integration between systems." Maya's observation led to a new line of research that resulted in 3 scientific papers published in specialized journals. Her contribution was formally recognized as co-author, something rare for undergraduate students. Sterling followed Maya's academic growth with paternal pride. He had bet on a 15-year-old teenager, based solely on her natural talent, and now saw that bet transform into one of the biggest revelations in national automotive engineering. "Maya," he said during one of her visits to the dealership, "I have a proposal for you." "What is it, Mr. Crawford?" "I want to create a research and development center here at the company. Would you be interested in leading this project after you graduate?" The proposal was tempting, but Maya asked for time to think. Talking to her parents became essential for her decision. "Honey," David said, "you need to follow your heart. We will be proud, whatever your choice." "But Dad, if I accept Mr. Crawford's proposal, I'll be able to work right by your side. We can form a family team. And if you accept an offer from a major automaker, you'll be able to impact millions of people with your work. Both choices have value." Susan, watching the conversation between father and daughter, remembered her own life decisions. She had chosen stability and security, working in cleaning for 20 years. She had no regrets, but she wanted Maya to have more options. "May," she said, "you have a privilege I never had. You can choose based on what you want, not just what you need. Use that freedom wisely. The wisdom of her mother's words touched Maya deeply. She realized her generation had opportunities her parents never dreamed of having, and that brought responsibilities. A few weeks later, Maya made her decision. She would accept Sterling's proposal, but with one condition. The research center should have a social mission, developing affordable automotive technologies for low-income families. "I want to use my knowledge to democratize access to safe and efficient cars," she explained. "It's no use developing technology, only for those who can pay a lot." Sterling was impressed by the maturity of the proposal. The idea of combining technological innovation with social impact aligned with his own business values. "Let's do things differently," he said. "The research center will be a partnership between my company and public universities. This way, we ensure the results benefit all of society." The project began to take shape during Maya's final year of college. She divided her time between studies, academic research, and planning the Future Development Center. David was promoted to General Technical Director, responsible for overseeing both maintenance and new research projects. His practical experience would be crucial to ensuring the innovations were applicable in the real world. Susan took on the administrative coordination of the research center, using her decades of experience at the company to create efficient processes and a welcoming work environment. The Miller family, who just a few years earlier were struggling just to keep their jobs and pay the bills, was now leading one of the most innovative projects in the regional automotive sector. "Sometimes I wake up and think I'm dreaming," Susan confessed to David one night. "How did our lives change so much in so little time?" "It changed because our daughter had the courage to use the knowledge she had," David replied, "and because we found people who knew how to recognize the value of what she offered." Maya's graduation was a landmark event for the entire family. Sterling made a point of being present, as did professors who had followed her exceptional academic journey. "Maya Miller," said the dean of the college during the ceremony, "represents the best of the new generation of engineers, technical competence combined with social awareness and solid human values." In her graduation speech, Maya thanked her parents and Sterling especially, but also made a point of mentioning Harrison, causing surprise in the audience. "I learned a lot from all the people I met on this journey," she said, "including those who initially didn't believe in me. Their reactions taught me the importance of perseverance and humility." Harrison, who was in the audience at Maya's invitation, felt his eyes well up. In the years following his departure from the dealership, he had reflected a lot on his mistakes and prejudices. After the ceremony, he approached the Miller family. "Maya," he said, "I want to apologize for the way I treated you. You taught me valuable lessons about recognizing talent and treating people with respect." "Mr. Harrison," Maya replied, "we all make mistakes and learn. What matters is how we use those lessons to improve." Maya's generosity in forgiving and including Harrison in the celebration showed the emotional maturity she had developed during her journey. The research center was inaugurated 6 months after Maya's graduation. The event brought together business people, academics, students, and members of the local community. "This center," Sterling announced, "represents a new way of doing business, where profit and social purpose go hand in hand." Maya, now as the technical director of the center, presented the first projects: development of efficient engines for affordable cars, accessible safety systems, and simplified maintenance technologies. "Our goal," she explained, "is to ensure families like mine have access to safe, economical, and reliable cars." The center's first project was the redesign of affordable car engines to reduce fuel consumption by 30% while keeping production costs low. The challenge was both technical and social. It's no use creating a technically perfect solution if it's too expensive for our target audience, Maya always told her team. Maya's practical approach, inherited from years of watching her father work, proved fundamental to the project's success. She knew that real innovation was what worked under real-world conditions. During the second year of the center's operation, the team developed a simplified automotive diagnostic system that allowed mechanics without sophisticated equipment to identify complex problems. "I thought of my father working with simple tools," Maya explained when presenting the system, "and imagined how I could use technology to amplify his experience, not replace it. The innovation won national awards and began to be adopted by small shops across the country. The social impact was immense. Independent mechanics could improve the quality of their services without major investments. Sterling grew prouder and prouder of his decision to bet on Maya and her family. The dealership had become a benchmark in the industry, not only for its products but for its innovative organizational culture. Investing in people, he always said in business lectures, is the best business strategy there is. 3 years after the center's creation, Maya received an unexpected proposal. A major international automaker wanted to license her technologies and offered $1 million sum for the rights. The offer created a dilemma. The money would allow for a significant expansion of research, but it would also change the nature of the original project. "What do you think, Dad?" Maya asked David. "Sweetheart, remember when you fixed that first engine? You didn't do it for money. You did it because it was the right thing. That should always be your compass." The father's simple wisdom helped Maya make the decision. She negotiated a different agreement. Instead of selling the rights, she established partnerships that guaranteed free access to the technologies for companies serving low-income markets. "Innovation isn't just about creating new things," she explained her decision. "It's about ensuring those new things improve people's lives." The model created by Maya began to be studied in business schools as an example of social innovation. Universities from all over the world sent students to visit the research center in Detroit. During one of these visits, a group of American students asked Maya what had been the most important moment of her career. "It was when my father taught me that knowledge without character is worthless," she replied. "Everything I've achieved was based on that lesson." The answer exemplified how Maya had remained true to family values despite all her professional success. In the 5th year of the research center, Maya decided to expand activities to include education. She created a program that brought basic mechanical knowledge to public schools in the region. "I want other children to have the same opportunities I had to learn by watching," she explained. David volunteered to teach in the program, discovering an unexpected passion for education. Seeing young people discover the fascination with engines brought him deep satisfaction. "It's like planting seeds," he said to Susan. "We never know which one will germinate and become something extraordinary." The educational program became so popular that other cities requested similar implementation. Maya developed a replicable model that could be adapted to different regions. "Education is the highest return investment there is," she always said. "Every child who awakens a passion for engineering can change the world." Susan, observing the growing social impact of her daughter's work, felt that her entire life of sacrifices had been worth it. Seeing Maya use her privileged position to help others was her greatest fulfillment as a mother. "You taught me that dignified work, regardless of what it is, deserves respect," Maya said to her mother during an interview about her journey. "That lesson shaped how I conduct my business." Maya's humility, even with all the national and international recognition, continued to impress everyone who worked with her. During the 6th year of operation, the research center received a special visit. Harrison had graduated as an automotive safety technician and asked to see the current projects. "Maya," he said, "I'd like to contribute in some way to your work. I've learned a lot about safety in recent years and I believe I can help." Harrison's transformation surprised everyone. The arrogant man who had mocked a teenager had become someone humble and focused on contributing positively. "Of course, Mr. Harrison," Maya replied. "We would be pleased to have your collaboration." Harrison's inclusion in the team symbolized the transformative power of forgiveness and second chances. His prior experience, combined with his new safety knowledge, brought valuable perspectives to the projects. "Sometimes our greatest lessons come from our biggest mistakes," Harrison commented during a meeting. "I'm grateful to have had the opportunity to learn and redeem myself." Maya's maturity in giving Harrison this opportunity showed how true leadership includes the ability to turn past tensions into productive collaborations. In the 7th year, the research center had become an international reference in automotive innovation with social impact. Maya was invited to speak at world conferences on technology and social responsibility. "True success," she said in a speech in Europe, isn't measured only by what you achieve for yourself, but by what you can do for others using your talents. Maya's life philosophy echoed the teachings she had received from her parents and the lessons learned during her journey since that first engine she had fixed at 15. Sterling, now an internationally recognized businessman for his innovative management practices, always credited his company's success to the decision to bet on the Miller family. "I didn't discover exceptional talents," he used to say. "I just created conditions for existing talents to flourish." The example of Sterling's dealership became a model studied by other companies interested in identifying and developing internal talent. David, at 55, had become a respected authority in automotive technical education. He developed curricula for technical schools across the country, always emphasizing the importance of combining theory with practice. "Knowledge that isn't applied in real life is useless," was his motto as an educator. Susan took over the coordination of the research center's social projects, applying her decades of experience working with people to create programs that truly met community needs. "Understanding people is as important as understanding technology," she always told Maya. The Miller family's joint work created a legacy that went far beyond individual professional success. They had demonstrated how solid values could be maintained even in prominent positions. During the 8th year of the center's operation, Maya made a decision that surprised many. She announced she would pass the operational leadership to a new generation of engineers she had trained. "The time has come for me to make space for other people to shine," she explained. "My role now is to create opportunities for other talents, just as Mr. Crawford did for me." The decision showed rare maturity, the ability to recognize when it's time to allow others to take center stage. Maya remained as chair of the center's board, focusing on long-term strategy and the development of new educational projects. "True leadership," she reflected, "is about developing other leaders, not perpetuating oneself in power." The transition was smooth because Maya had spent years preparing her team to take on increasing responsibilities. The center continued to thrive under new operational leadership. At 26, Maya decided to pursue a master's degree in innovation management, wanting to formalize the knowledge she had acquired empirically. "You never stop learning," she told her father. "Every new perspective can open doors to solutions we haven't even imagined yet." Maya's intellectual humility, even with all her success, remained one of her most striking characteristics. During her master's program, she developed a thesis on democratization of technological innovation, based on her practical experience at the research center. The work was considered revolutionary by the professors and resulted in invitations to teach at several major universities. "Professor Maya," the students called her, "your classes are different because you teach not just theory, but how to apply knowledge to make a real difference in the world." Maya's pedagogical approach combined academic rigor with practical experience and solid human values. In the 10th year after that first repaired engine, the Miller family gathered for a special celebration. Sterling had organized a party to commemorate a decade of transformations. 10 years ago," he said during his speech, "a courageous teenager changed not just an engine, but an entire way of understanding talent and leadership." The celebration brought together current and former employees, business partners, academics, and community members who had been impacted by the center's projects. "What makes me proudest," Maya said in her speech, "isn't the awards or recognitions, but knowing that we helped other people discover and develop their own talents." Harrison, now the center's safety supervisor, moved everyone with his words. "I learned that it takes courage to recognize when we're wrong, but it takes even more courage to change. I'm grateful for having had this opportunity." Harrison's presence at the celebration symbolized the power of redemption and second chances. David, reflecting on the family's journey, realized how small decisions had led to big changes. "If I hadn't let Maya come to work with me when she was little," he thought, "none of this would have happened." The reflection made him appreciate even more the importance of giving opportunities for talents to manifest naturally. Susan looked at the party and remembered the difficult times when the family struggled just to survive. "Sometimes fate tests us to see if we're ready for greater blessings," she thought. Her faith in the importance of honest work and a united family had been rewarded in ways she never imagined possible. The celebration ended with a collective commitment to continue expanding the social impact of the projects developed at the center. The next 10 years will be even more transformative, Maya promised, because now we have a solid foundation to dream even bigger. The future opened up full of possibilities for the Miller family and for all those who had been inspired by their journey of overcoming work and values. End of story. Now tell me, what did you think of this story of transformation and overcoming? Do you believe Maya made the right decisions throughout her journey? Have you experienced situations where talents were underestimated due to prejudice? Leave your comment, sharing your reflections on how small acts of courage can change entire lives. Don't forget to leave your like if the story moved you and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss other inspiring stories like this one.